Why is it after all these years being a member, how have you been able to keep the feeling and the faith still so fresh and so pure?
When you believe, your faith doesn't die. It only grows stronger. And I think I would give up every material thing in my life to never lose my life with God.
Kim was my ultimate dream guest on the Making Changes podcast. But knowing she didn't like cameras, didn't like interviews, and was now living across the country in Tennessee, I didn't know if or even how it could possibly happen. But that's how I know this is all God. Of all the weekends for her to be in Toronto for work, it happened to be the same weekend we were there recording for Making Changes. When God works, there's no stopping it, right? Kim has been my friend for years. She's been a member of the Iglesia Cristo for 16 years. By every measure, she had made it. Active in worship, grounded in doctrine, a fixture in her congregation in Clarksville, Tennessee. But sitting across from her in our mobile studio, I realized this was different. Kim was different. This isn't just a story of someone finding God. This is a story of someone discovering what it truly means to choose Him. And I'm so thankful that God created this opportunity for us to catch up, to laugh, reminisce, and reflect on the journey we're both on today. I'm Aliu Garcia Pablo, and you're listening to a special episode of Making Changes from incmedia Audio, a podcast about the changes we go through and the life lessons we learn along the way, but always with God by our side. Hey, all right, are we really doing this? I can't believe you're here.
I'm going to cry.
You're gonna cry already? We're still at the hello, girl. This podcast is just gonna be us laughing the whole time.
Okay, go.
I just, how did we get here? It's amazing.
Right. Two little kids in kindergarten.
You really are crying, but really, honestly, I was telling these guys, like, I've always, ever since this podcast started a couple years ago, I was like, oh man, Kim would be she would be like the ultimate guest. But I never prayed for it, you know? I just thought of it. It was always in my mind. But I was like, oh no, she hates cameras. This is never going to happen. You know, that's why I never brought it up. But then I'm like, she moved to Tennessee. Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. And so the fact that we're here, it's so crazy because it kind of honestly falls in line with how we all even met to begin with, right? Just plans of God. Yeah. Right? And so I know, I'm going to start crying because it's like 16, 17. No, it's longer than that. Because for as long, our kids are 24. Yeah. So.
And they met when they were
kindergarten,
5.
right? Mm-hmm. So do the 19 years, girl. Yeah.
And
we've
just
known each other for 2 decades.
The grace of God of like, how did you end up moving behind me?
I don't know.
And it was a month before or after. We moved at the same time.
Yes. No, you moved 3 months before us. You bought your house 3 months before us.
And so Allison was 2 because Jaden was 1.5.
Yes.
So it's just like, you think about the power of things and you don't realize. Well, I think as I get older and it's not older in life, it's really maturity in faith where things are so vivid. And I don't know, Allison is way smarter than Jaden and we don't have to edit that. But he'll always make up words. And so as he's gotten older, I'm like, Jaden, that's not a word. So recently I'm like, there's this vivivity. And I'm like, vivivity? Is that a word? It's our joke. It's a word. It is. It could be in the Urban Dictionary, but it's a word. So it is a word. So, but there's this vividness.
Clarity. For those of you who don't know what vividity means, it's
vividity.
Clarity.
You have to give it an extra syllable. But there's this very vivid presence in my life that is the stepping stones to getting here. It's a peace. Yeah. And so everything that happens is so very clear. Even from moving from California where native Californian, you move to another place, native anywhere, you move to another place and it's scary and it's so unclear or you just don't know who to call. And my move, and I'm a native Californian, uprooting after 40 something years to a new place was so seamless. From selling our home to buying the home to furnishing the home to, I went to a GWS with 9 people.
Yes. No, I remember you telling me we went for a walk. Do you remember? We went for a walk and you're like, girl, I got to tell you, we're moving. I was like, what? To where? Tennessee. And I remember, I never told you this, right? But in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, is there a locale there?
Well, I was ready to drive to Nashville. So I was like, well, it's 40 minutes. So I'm going to have to drive probably an hour to church.
And then you texted me and you're like, girl, I told you I was God's favorite, which is what you always told me through the years, that you're God's favorite. You're like, I told you I'm God's favorite. There's a GW. And I didn't believe you. I had to look because I know you sent me a screenshot. I'm like, no way. I looked it up and I was like, oh my gosh. Of all the towns.
Yeah. And they could not get to us faster with that paperwork. Transfer, Kim, transfer. Yes, I got my transfer right here. Let's get this over here. It was like, it was driver's license, passport, transfer. Get this registered over here. But there's not a step that was stressful.
In the changes in your life.
Yeah. And I don't know that it's change more than transformation, right? Change kind of requires an effort. And this transformation has been, and again, I don't know. I want you to have the tears like I miss you, but the tears are really for God. And it's not his favorite.
Yes.
It's just like there's a power that is so strong, and it makes life so simple. So it's just this strange thing that you want people to understand, that when you're called, it doesn't hurt and it's not hard. It's just you believing that God called you, and you just kind of immerse yourself into what that means. And it's beautiful. And we had we're going to tangent a lot in this conversation, but I think I told you Brother Adrian is there.
Yes, your evangelical worker.
My evangelical worker who I got baptized with.
The same baptism.
The same baptism.
In 2009. Who was 12 at the time.
Anniversary. He was 12.
Shout out to Brother Adrian, but okay.
Shout out to Brother Adrian. But he's come with, I think we all know Sid Santos. And he just always was able to deliver a lesson for me at that time when I was still a Bible student.
Yes,
that was just so clear. And I want to shout out Sidney, but it's probably God making that lesson clear. And here's Brother Adrian that is similar, where he says very simple things, and it's cool to see the young ministers come through and learn more from our small congregations and big congregations there in Great Lakes. And he said something a couple of months ago, which was when you're called, you follow, but it's not enough to follow. You have to have the discipline to really receive and understand God's plan for you and follow the rules God has for you. And it just settled with me. Like, I think you can go into any church. You have to find your way to the true church. And you feel like you're going to now have all of these rewards because you're serving God. But when you truly have the disciplines to follow the commandments, then you start to feel the blessings that God has for you. And it is no longer work. It's truly just having the discipline to follow God. And I think it has to be pure in your heart that you feel that, love that, and it's not hard anymore. And I think that's where I am in life. It's just not hard anymore. I've had a lot of hard. And so to have that peace, and Brother Adrian was preaching at last midweek, and he said, God wants you to have peace and tranquility. And that word is just so peaceful. Yeah. And so Jaden McKenna and I talked about it after that worship service, and even they kind of felt the power of that tranquility. And so I don't know how God implants himself inside your heart, but when you start to truly accept it, it's not hard to believe anymore.
Before we continue, if you're on Spotify, you have the option to watch the full video of this conversation or just listen like you're doing now. Either way, don't forget to subscribe to Making Changes so you get every new episode as soon as it drops. Now, back to Kim. And I'm watching you and listening to you. And I think back about my neighbor Kim, Auntie Kim, as my kids would call you. The podcast is called Making Changes. And I remember distinctly because we would talk about church and religion, and you would say to me, girl, I don't need a church because God is everywhere.
I read the Bible.
God is everywhere. Yes, right? You're like, I pray, right. I'm good.
And then I bought you a necklace for your birthday with the cross. Let's not forget about the cross necklace.
That's right. I forgot. And then I don't even know how I had to tell you. I think I wore it without the cross. And I was like, Kim.
It's like the...
I forgot about that cross necklace. And then I don't even remember how I told you that.
You were so graceful.
What did everything. I say? I'm just
I feel like we were on another one of our walks, our block walks. Okay, but it was a graceful explanation of the doctrine that wasn't, we don't, worship idols. It was in our church, there's this,
Yeah.
And we explained it.
That's so funny. Yeah. I forgot about that cross. I still have the actual necklace, by the way. But I remember thinking like, I was putting roadblocks for myself as far as like really trying to invite you. I'm like, wow, she looks like she's got a great life. She's, they're doing good in life. Like, why would she want to get up, on a Sunday morning to go to church with me? And so for years, I just said, okay, we're just friends. We're cool, And we just laugh about dumb things and, you'd cook. And so for years we did that. And I think I invited you maybe one time to a Bible study at the house. And it was like, I remember telling the minister, can you please make it be about like marriage or some family, something that's not too controversial because she don't really like church, like I was okay, so I was really like, for me at the time, I was like, I want to keep our friendship. And I didn't want, also because I wanted to keep eating your cornbread. But anyway, that's another story. But I wanted us to, like, I didn't want our differences in beliefs be the thing that would like us not be friends anymore. And plus our kids were friends, right? Yeah. And so, and then one day when you called, I remember this day, you called me on a Saturday night, right? And you're like, girl,
and it was a call, not a text.
It was a call. I mean, our friendship is all text.
Yes.
Yes. So I was like, oh, she's calling. And you said, can I go to church with you tomorrow? I was like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, why? Like in my head, right? I was like, yeah, sure. And I remember,
okay, what do I wear?
Right? And you're like, I said, okay, we're going to leave this time. And I remember calling Brother Bob to leave my friend. Brother Bob, my neighbor, my friend Kim is coming. Hopefully you can come to Redwood City and officiate, But Kim, I was so nervous. I don't know if I told you, it was like first impressions. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really hope she likes it. But tell everybody, tell the people what that first worship service was like for you. Because it's more than I could have ever imagined, considering how much you were so anti-church.
It's, again, I don't know why I'm doing this with you. And I don't know why I put on any makeup because...
You're just crying.
But, and I remember telling Brother Adrian this recently before knowing there was even a podcast. Yeah. But so if you know the Bay Area, Redwood City is not the first locale, but it is the oldest.
Yes.
And I think if you look at one of the Disney cartoons, it's the house on the sideways on the foundation. And I didn't care. I didn't see the building, but I know, and usually in hindsight, every other worship service, we went through the back and the function hall, but that day we walked to the front. Mm. And I'm pretty sure it was God's plan, and this really happened in my vivid mind and memory. But it was the vividity of that day. But it today, and it always will be, I don't know if two ministers were there, but the doors opened and the bright sun was shining in. And I don't know what hymn was being sung, but it sounded like, are we ready, sound engineers? could have been hallelujah.
The angels were singing?
It could have been. It was this strange, like you're seeing the light, but it wasn't for death.
See, you never told me this.
And I don't know why, but I see it very vivid to this day. The moment I walked in, and you know that I never left.
No, that was it for you.
I think I've missed 2 worship services in all of my time.
Yes.
And even coming, I think I'm in the Midwest right now, but traveling as much as I traveled during my Bible studies, I found and got lost.
Yes.
Went to a group worship service.
You were telling me you guys went to the Midwest so much. You guys were like, is this the right
what's
place?
Going on? Yeah, that was my first
No, but you
experience.
walk in and you literally...
It was just, I was going to say I'm immersed. I was grasped. I was pulled in. I never saw men on the left, women on the right.
Which is normally what everyone sees.
Yeah, I didn't, that is not a memory of mine.
Wow.
And from that moment, it was time with God. My worship services to this day are my time with God. I don't care if it's 10 minutes, if it's 3 hours. I don't care who's preaching. It's my time with God, and I receive his presence through the power of the Holy Spirit every single worship service, and I can't wait for them. Do you remember when I would call you? Like I'd stop working at like 2 to get ready for church.
Yes. I go to your house and you're already showered.
Yeah,
I'm
like getting ready for church
service at 7.
I got to get ready for church. I shut down the house. The kids got ready.
No, I remember.
It was and to this day, things are ready, and
which is so crazy because you went from I don't even need a church. You really went from one extreme to the other, which is so rare. Like I've done so many stories on people converting and stuff, but that is so unique. And what I've learned from you, I mean, I just realized that I talk about you in so many episodes but you gave me such a context of because I remember you told me what it was like the Baptist church, growing up in the Baptist church, which was...
It was like chaos. But I did tell Dimple or talk about when you have kids or maybe you have a big life event or you have pets or something and you kind of don't remember life before. I don't remember life before as a single without my children or my family. I don't remember life before the church. And I think it's intentional where it was chaos. It wasn't the truth. It's like crumbs to a loaf of bread. It has no sound foundation.
No meaning.
Yeah, and so you don't stay there, or I'm looking for a new home church is how they say it.
Yes,
because there is no strong foundation, and
so they're just church hopping.
Yeah, and so when you hear something out of context, or again, I'm sure other people experience. In the other churches, there's the lessons or the whatever, I forget what they're called. They're not lessons. They're the word or something. But they're always about a current event that is going to make themselves relevant.
Yes.
And so when we're going through life in the true church, God sends each of us, millions of people, what's relevant for us through him in that moment.
Yeah.
Through those same words.
Yes.
And so there's no reason, you don't want to leave. You don't have a desire to leave because you're so fueled. Yeah.
Yes.
And so.
Well, I do remember the stories you used to tell me though, which was you said, well, in the Baptist church during offering time, someone be collecting the offering with the basket and then a bucket of chicken. Do you remember telling me that story?
Yes, I remember a version of that story. So I think it was, they have, what is it called? Revival.
Revivals. Yes.
And so I think my in-laws had family and we went to a revival. And so you kind of saunter in at different times. It's quite not orderly. It's a little chaotic. And yeah, the usher came in like last. So there was no ushering. And then the drummer came in from Applebee's with their chicken.
Just in time for the revival.
Just in time. So even though I'm very, expressions. And so I'm like.
Yeah. See, I never forgot that. I always I I remember we had interviewed a couple of brothers from San Diego, and I said, my friend used to tell me, they're like, yeah, no, I'm not surprised that happens. But
there's no, it's not about being orderly. It's really about respecting your meeting with God.
Yes, your moment.
And there is no sense of that there.
There's a lot of screaming and shouting and stomping.
Discussions and
I heard they're long.
Very long. Yeah,
very long.
And let's run on some of the hymns that are very well known. So
So growing up, did you always believe there was a God?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I showed you a picture and you probably forgot about it, but I was born in LA and we moved to a small suburb between LA and San Francisco in some of my formative years. And we went to the Church of Christ on the Joy Bus. And so, but my parents shuffled us off, my two sisters and our one half sister and a sister of mine. And we'd get in there and sing the songs and we'd go to church and we'd come back. But it was just a small little house and it just says Church of Christ. And so while it wasn't the true Church of Christ, it was my calling as a 4 or 5-year-old going by myself. I see that very vivid sign, the Church of Christ, as a child. And there's not a lot of childhood memories when I remember or that I choose to remember, but I remember that. And so there is some grounding in faith from back then from my family. And maybe they didn't know the truth, but God was his favorite.
You even as a 4-year-old.
Even as a 4-year-old.
But you thinking about that memory right now, it just brings tears to your eyes. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I think it's just pure. And again, I think it's growing in the church is different than maturing in your faith.
Ooh, tell me more.
Right?
That's growing in the church is different from maturing in your faith.
Yeah, because there's many brethren that are here longer than me, shorter than me, more active than me, less active than me. And I think once you really give yourself to God and let go of worldly end of sentence. I think then we're all going to make mistakes and we're all going to need to readjust. But once you just sort of let go of what others think and some of the superficial things and the materialistic things, and you just kind of receive what's in front of you from God, it's just a soft, pure.
So we'll go back again. So you go to your first worship service, angels are singing. And I remember you telling me, this is what I've been looking for, this quietness and peacefulness when you're worshiping God. Did you think that existed since you had never, what you were used to was chaos?
I don't know about
loud?
It existing. I do know that I found my peace. I do know that I found the truth. And then I went to the minister at the time. And I just want to be a member. He's like, it takes a long time.
I remember that.
Whatever a long time means to you, that's fine.
I remember
want
that.
to be a member. Yeah. It was similar to how I asked to be
a deaconess.
I was called to be a deaconess. Yeah.
We're going to get to that one later.
Same way I shocked.
But I remember you start Bible studies already, right? So now you're listening. You felt the peace, tranquility in worship service. But what happens once you actually start to find out and hear what the church actually teaches and believes in, which is not your typical mainstream belief, that we don't believe in the Trinity and we don't believe in crosses. And what were your thoughts once you started hearing the doctrines?
You know what's interesting about processing that type of information is that it was never hard for me to receive. It was never hard for me to process that's not real or that's not right or to argue it. It was it just made sense. And I don't know if it was the way it was delivered with doctrine lesson in a scripture or the person delivering it, or again, the power of the Holy Spirit just being involved in that conversation or that lesson. But it never, it always made deep sense to me. And I'm one that I'm going to share what's good. Whether it's some cornbread or coming into church. And so for me, I was very active in the neighborhood, as you know. I think I was the captain of the neighborhood watch. So I was watching everybody. And so you're like, no crime, but you got to come to Bible study.
We used to have meetings at your house.
With the cop. Well, I think it's just that. I think my heart is about giving. And that's my happiness and joy, is giving to others. And if I could share with you some part of the most important thing in my life, which is my relationship with God and my faith, then I want to do that. And at the time, I think there's this naivete about sharing our faith in our church because it's different, and it's different because it's the truth. Well, back then I wasn't worried about losing a friend. I was concerned, like, why are you being so silly? And so I was, and I'm very like, you don't understand that? It's pretty clear. And so if they didn't want to engage or they wanted to fuss about it, then it was more a comedic relief for me, or like, oh, okay, if that's what you want to do, sorry. And when you look at where people are in life and this very clear, vivid view of the world, there are differences in people who choose to not serve God in the right way and in truth. So
the level of peace.
And I think too, it's just the time that God calls you. There's a path that is, and that's my new thing, is that I'm just this illuminated path in Clarksville, Tennessee, for people to find their way to our little group worship service. And so it will continue to grow. But I think there's a time for each of us, and a time of truth for each of us. And like I tell people, it's a narrow gate. So if it's not your time, that's fine. I'm first in line. So I don't know what to tell you. I got my ticket. So there's that.
Get yours. I got mine.
It's a narrow gate. So if you didn't, okay. I don't know what narrow means, but if you're not going to get there. I'm in. So that's how I reconcile it. Is all right. I don't know if it's this big or this big, but it's just not for you.
Do you think it's also because, like, kind of like what you're saying, vivivity? Now I'm going to start using that word.
Well, let's just confirm it's in the actual dictionary, not just the urban.
It's in Jaden's dictionary. All right. We're good. But like, you said it was so easy. There was nothing that you heard that was hard to understand or accept. But could it also be because you were being called, that God just opened up your mind, whereas the other neighbors that you were bringing, who were the churchgoers, who were Bible readers, couldn't grasp that Christ is not God, because he said, I am not the Father.
And that, I don't know if you remember that I invited Brother Sidney.
Yes.
Just after he was ordained or just before, but it was the couple with their Bible and red pen, and they came over, and again, it's serious, but it's very, very interestingly funny, where this person was getting upset and red as the red pen on the table and trying to prove this out. And Sidney was very even-keeled and just reminding to the point where my friend slammed that Bible and left. And so I think he was also in Bible college or something like that.
When you don't got it, you don't got it.
And so, we just sort of and I don't know that there's much to say about it. I think even after that, we kind of just, there were no words. We just kind of processed that interaction. And it's the clouded fogginess of the devil that guides people to see things that aren't clear. And so if it's not true for them, it's just not going to be true for them.
But how does that feel to know that, okay, for example, out of everybody on Edith Way, right, who thought they had a relationship with God, who thought God knew them, who thought they were God's children, they couldn't get it, but you did. God's favorite did. That first realization was just the beginning. That's certainly the case for Kim. Listen to the rest of Kim's story and discover how that realization grew into something deeper, which would guide her entire family and sustain them through the ups and downs of life, even decades later. Want to listen to the rest of the story? Scan the QR code on the screen and listen and watch it on Spotify.